Well, I'm glad you're back with me once again, and I'm going to open this sweet tea up and have a little swaller, just so we can get down to talking and talking fast. Hold on just 1 second. I do like sweet tea awful good, along with coffee. And it's getting summertime now, so pretty much water and sweet tea and coffee is about all I drink. And I'm pretty tired this evening, and I'm hungry. And so as those two things, it got me to thinking about, you know what, you need to go ahead and do another video. And so we're going to pick up with where we left off in Nairobi. And this is Africa Part 2. And anyway, so we were in Nairobi there, and you know, had a nice place to stay. I mean, it was nice to me. You know, some people might say, well, it ain't all that great, but I've stayed in a lot of places a lot worse in the U.S. than where I was staying in Nairobi. And so, you know, we had a couple days that we was going to be there. And one of the things that we had to do, which I didn't even know, I didn't know exactly what the plan was. Really didn't even. What I had gathered by this point in time, which was, you know, from the flight over and being there, I had gathered that that Nairobi was could be not always, and not all parts, but some parts of Nairobi could be dangerous, especially at nighttime, and that we were going to go and be giving out Bible tracts, which if you ever saw them, you know, a little tract, and it generally has the plan of salvation with that tract. It should have the plan of salvation. You know, there is tracts that deals with different things, depression and, you know, other things. But in my opinion, all tracts should have they should be able to lead you to a relationship with Christ, with, you know, a right standing with God, and it comes through Christ Jesus. So they were going to print off, and it's always been one of my favorite tracts. They've got some really good ones today that's really good, but some of my favorite ones have been, they're called Chick tracts. Jack Chick was the guy that come up with the, you know, the different, their little booklets, you know, a couple pages, you know, thin, real little, you know, and you can hand them out to people. So they were going to print a bunch of those out. They were going to print like the Roman Road out. They were, you know, and other things. I mean, they were not all the same. There was a variety of different kinds of tracts, but they were going to get 38,000 printed out, which is a lot. I mean, 38,000 tracts is a lot of tracts. And we were supposed to go, like, and from my understanding of what the plan was, we would mostly be visiting schools. And, you know, we'd be giving out tracts. They'd be watching some films, and then they'd be having a time of invitation, and, you know, if they wanted to accept Jesus as their Savior. And I was like, okay. So we had some running around to have to do, and you know, and I wouldn't say that I was bored, but I get bored pretty easy. And on the mission, especially, you know, there can be boring times doing mission work. I mean, there's some times that you're kind of stuck at a certain place for maybe a couple of days, maybe longer. And in Africa, it can be because of rain, or there's a bridge gone, or, you know, there are just a variety of reasons that you can get stuck in a spot for several days, if not longer. And so anyway, you know, maybe 3 or so days passes. They got a hold of the people, and that had, I'm not even sure, they may have already had them printed before we got there. I can't remember for sure. You'd have to ask Ken Young about that if they already had them printed, or I can't remember. But anyhow, they had been to Kenya one time before. And the interesting thing is that who Ken had come with was a ministry called Seeds for the City. And to my understanding, Ken just felt like that he needed to go to Western Kenya. But, you know, it's a rural area. I mean, there is some cities. I mean, you got Kisumu and Kakamega and Majango. That's real close to where we're at. None of them's real far. You know, there is some cities in Western Kenya, but nothing like the size of Nairobi by a long ways. But so we, and I started trying to learn as best I could some of the things and what certain things was called. And I am not a language guy. I mean, I barely can speak English, so I don't pick up stuff very well. So anyhow, we went and we had this driver. His name was Peter. And he had this old matatu. Now, if you're not familiar what a matatu is, you can Google it, matatu, and it'll come up. And my phone's upstairs ringing. I'm not going to get it because they'll leave a message. But anyway, it was not a great matatu. And it was used, basically, it's means of public transportation. And if you're not familiar with it, basically, if you could imagine a minivan, pretty well the size of a minivan, maybe just a tick bigger, longer, no wider, but a minivan that can haul 16 passengers. That's a matatu. There's not you're crammed in there. Crammed in there. Well, so we had us, plus Peter, plus Clement, and there was 6 of us. And so there's 8 people getting in this matatu with all the luggage that we've got and 38,000 tracks. Now this thing was loaded down, and the suspension on a matatu is not good. So the day that we're to leave out, we start loading everything out, and we didn't get gone near as quickly as we would have hoped to have got gone. And the roads have improved greatly compared to the first trip that I took. I'll be doing some more stories to get some other folks that has been there to talk to you about the roads. They're not really all that good. At times, sections of them's good, but they're not like roads in the United States. I can tell you that. They're about like the road down there where the Chug Holes is at, but a lot more of them. But at any rate, we leave out. And I don't know why, but for some reason I thought that I would get towards the back. And I did. I got in the back of the thing. Well, as far back as I could get because we had luggage and everything. And my legs I was crammed in the seat in front of me. And we left out, and I think it took, from the time we left Nairobi, now that's not getting ready and whatnot, but when we left, I think it took us 14 hours to go across the country to where we was going, which was the Mbali Hotel. Now, Mbali Hotel don't exist no more, but at the time, that's where we was going. And I'll be honest with you. Before I went to Africa, now I had been an avid rock climber. I had camped all over the United States, skydiving, hang gliding, paragliding, various four-wheelers and motorcycles and four-wheel drives, and I wrestled in high school, played football, And I considered myself a pretty tough individual, that I was pretty tough. But so we crossed the whole country. Now granted, I'll tell you this. If you ever get to go, you should go see the Rift Valley because it's amazing. It's beautiful. But we crossed the whole country on the highway there, the main drag, and I never saw but like 2 or 3 schools the whole time. I'm like, my gosh, there ain't no schools. I don't know what schools we're supposed to go to, but we've just passed 3 and we've drove 14 hours. And everything on me was hurting. Maybe the bottom of my feet wasn't hurting. But from the bottom of my feet all the way up to maybe the top of my head wasn't hurting. My neck was hurting from hitting the massive holes. My back was hurting. Everything was hurting. My knees was killing me. They was raw from where they'd rubbed the back of the seat and bouncing up and down. It was brutal. Now, to tell you how bad it was, Teresa, now she had 2 boys, and she said that she'd rather give birth than to take that ride across the country in that Matatu again. But when we got there, it was dark as a dungeon. I mean, we'd done run out of daylight along. And one of the things that they tell you going into any foreign country is don't be traveling at nighttime. But there we was, a traveling and a beating and a thrashing. I thought to myself, I don't care where we stay. Pull off on the side of the road. Just let us rest a little bit. Let us lay on the ground. I didn't care at this point in time. Just if we could have got stopped. So finally we get there. Now, of course, at the motel, they've got to get us in the vehicle caged up because parts of Africa, now don't think bad of the Africans. Don't think bad of the Kenyans. But they would, if it's just bolted down, they'll steal it. It needs to be welded down for them not to be able to get it. So there's parts of that they're bad places in Africa and Kenya. There's places that they're bad for stealing, and so you got to keep stuff locked up. Well, I wasn't used to that, but anyhow, I grabbed my luggage, and they took us in. They welcomed us into the hotel like royalty, and we went up. I think we was on the 3rd floor, I believe, and they showed us to where we was going to be staying. Now, me and Josh was going to be rooming together, and everything was okay, but we didn't have our own bathroom. We had to share the bathroom with the rest of the men, which the bathroom was located, so we had 2 stalls. One was a stall for a toilet, and the other was a stall that had the shower. And there's going to be lots more talk about these 2 stalls to come. But I thought, I'll sleep. Oh my gosh, I just can't wait to lay down. I didn't care what the bed looked like. I didn't care. I could have laid on the ground and went to sleep. So we got in there and got everything kind of situated back a little bit. And I laid down. And I thought, Lord, thank you for letting me finally get stopped. And I don't know what time it was. I think I went to sleep, and it must have been maybe close to about 11 o'clock. And I went to sleep for just like an hour and a half or so, and got woke up. And they was outside, beating drums, and a sacrificing, killing stuff. And I woke up and I was listening to that mess, them a squalling and screaming, and beating drums, and things are dying. And I went to praying. And I said, Lord, forgive me. I know that you didn't mean for a fella like me to be in a place like this. And then I thought about Josh having his wife with him. And I said, God, thank you for not letting Amy be with me. And I prayed and I said, Lord, if you'll forgive me, the first opportunity I get, I'm going to get out of here. Now I'm going to cut it off right there, and we'll continue from right there on part number 3. God bless you. Have a great day.